Hello to you out there. How are you doing? I hope great. Thank you for joining me once again. Today, I just want to share briefly and pay tribute to Charliekirk, who was killed on the 10th of September at a university event, UVU University in Utah. To be honest, this was not somebody that I knew so well, but I have known about his work, and the news of his death even made me search deeper to know more about his person and all that he stood for. I knew that he was quite active during the American elections last year, supporting the Republican Party and Donald Trump as the presidential candidate. So it really hurt when I found out that it was him who died. And having learned more about his person, what I can say is that he was a good person. Charliekirk was the definition of a good person. He was a great American. He was a patriot. He loved his nation. And he was also a Christian who was very bold and vocal about his faith, but not in an aggressive way, in a very respectable way. Charliekirk was the definition of an epitome of what Peter was saying to us in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15, where he said, "But in your hearts, honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you. Yet do it with gentleness and respect." And Charliekirk was that kind of person, because when I watched most of his public debates and discussion sessions with youths, you could see that he spoke with gentleness and respect. He was firm, but not offensive, not aggressive, very respectable in putting forth his views, engaging young people one-on-one on a case-by-case basis, talking about issues and really explaining why he believes what he believes. So I felt very bad when I heard that he was dead, and dying at such a young age of 31 is so hurtful. I feel for his lovely wife and his young children who would have to grow the rest of their lives without the presence and the influence of their father. In my heart, I said to myself, Charliekirk would have been a potential president of the United States. I really felt that he would have been a president of the US. Looking at how early he found his purpose and was running with it, and how much he has done in such a short period, relatively short period of time, I kept wondering to myself, what would he have done in the next 10, 20 years? We have no idea, but a lot could have happened, much better than what had happened now. And so I really feel that America has lost a good person, a good citizen, and I sympathize and I mourn with the nation of the USA over the death of this wonderful man. So looking at the life of Charliekirk, what am I paying tribute to? What is the takeaway for me? I think the very first thing is how that he found his purpose at such an early age. These days, it's very rare to find young people at the age of 18 already so clear about what they want to do and pursuing it with focus and vigor. Yes, I know that in the West, here in the West, you are already identified or recognized as an adult at the age of 18. But we know that even at that age, a lot of young people are still battling with issues of identity, career, and all of the issues that come with being an adult and growing up. But that for him, he already found it. It even made me wish to know. I want to know who the parents of Charliekirk were, because I also think in my mind what kind of upbringing they gave him that made him such a formed, stable young man at that age. I have no doubt that the hand of God was upon him, but I also know a lot of background work must have happened in his upbringing at home. And I really praise and appreciate his parents for the work and the influence that they had upon him as a young person. And so the challenge for you and I today is to find our purpose early and pursue it. We are not too young. If you're still in your 20s, you are 19, there's something in your mind, there's an idea. Honestly, this is your sign to pursue it, because no one is too young and no one is guaranteed forever. So we really need to pursue that purpose that God has put in our hearts and go after it. And when we look at the life of Charliekirk, though he only lived for such a short time, the truth is that his life has been so eventful and impactful, even much more than some people who have lived to 50 years and longer. And I'm not comparing, I'm just saying that he's achieved so much. He's made such an impact that he has been a blessing, not just to the United States, but to people outside the United States. I mean, currently, it's not just the Republicans who are mourning him, but the Democrats as well. And outside the shores of America, I know several people in other countries, Australia, Great Britain, Nigeria, where I come from, who are mourning the loss of Charliekirk, the death of Charliekirk. So Charliekirk was a light that shined from the USA, in the USA, but also beyond the borders of the USA. And that challenge to you and I today is that as Christians, we must continue to shine the light of Jesus wherever we are, wherever we find ourselves. We do not have all the time in the world. And secondly, the other point is, what was the reason for his assassination? We know that Charliekirk was very clear, very bold about his faith. He took it with him wherever he went, to all these debates and speaking sessions that he was always having. He had a faith arm under the Turning Point USA that he had established since he was 18. He was collaborating with a lot of pastors and ministries to push forward the gospel of Christ. So being such an outspoken Christian, being a conservative who also had his own personal views about LGBTQ and abortion rights, it was just the perfect mix for opposition. It was the perfect mix to be somebody who would be hated. And the truth is that the current situation, the death of Charliekirk, has also made us know that not everyone is currently mourning. There are also those in the camp of those that are celebrating his death. So we know that as many, although there are a lot of people who loved his person and who still do, there are also some that hated him because of what he stood for. And that's my second point, that things like this can make us Christians to be afraid and not want to speak out anymore for our faith. But I want to encourage you today to remain bold, to continue to speak and stand for Jesus and shine wherever you are, because that is really what the devil wants, to keep us quiet, to keep us silent. And, you know, I think that's the reason why the person assassinated him, for all of these views that he had, because he thought that that's the best way to keep him quiet. But the truth is, what Charliekirk was doing with the young generation, with the Gen Z, was working. He was making a lot of impact. And it angered some people that felt they would need to take him out. But the challenge to you and I as a child of God is we must continue to press forward with the gospel of Christ wherever we are. In the public place, in the marketplace, if you have a great maybe social media following or a great platform to reach to people, to connect to people, you must not let this stop you. And that has been my prayer since yesterday, that the blood of Charliekirk that was shed on the university ground at UVU will not be in vain, that God will take it as a seed and cause it to germinate, to yield 100-fold, 1,000-fold, 1,000,000-folds, that it will bring about revival in the hearts of young people in America whom Charliekirk so loved and cared about, that it will start a wave of revival in the hearts of young people, and that it will not be what the enemy meant for evil. God will take it and turn it around for good. And today, in ending, I also want to ask you, as a Bible-believing Christian, wherever you are in any part of the world, to pray for America. There's been a lot of shootings and killings in recent times. Some children were killed in a Catholic church some weeks ago. A young lady was also stabbed in the metro. There was the young man who was interning at a government agency that was shot. There was also the Israeli couple that was killed at the embassy some months ago. There's just been a lot of blood, innocent blood being shed on the land, and that is not good. So I want you to pray for once, put aside your own needs, and pray for the salvation of America. Pray for the deliverance of America from this demonic spirit of murder, of violence, of crime, and that God will turn the hearts of young people to himself in that nation. Thank you so much. I pray that God will comfort his wife, his family, his 300 employees, the people that surrounded him, that were close to him, who considered him a brother, that God will comfort them in this difficult time. I cannot imagine the pain that they are going through. If I feel the way I do, I cannot imagine what those who are really close to him feel. And I just pray that God will comfort him. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and see you another time. Bye.